Welcome to San Miguel TV. Live again. Alright, so I just put this preview, the preview out that I was going to go live like 10 minutes ago. And here I am. What's going on, everybody that's on here? I'm trying to see if somebody will come on. Honestly, I don't think it's going to happen. I see greetings from Northern California, the San Francisco Bay Area. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming through. Uptown Films in the house. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming through, joining. I'm really on here to talk to these Hebrew Israelites, right? I used to be one myself. I used to be a black Hebrew Israelite, whatever you want to call it. That's what I was. That's what I believed in for years. And now what I do is actually challenge these guys and debate and make videos about it from all the different groups, because the group that I was a part of was the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ. Let me see if I could go into any of my past videos. I mean, if you look at my last video, there's a brother that came on from Minnesota by the name of Gerari. I'll just stick to that. And he's gonna come back on, but we kind of ran it all down, and spoke a little bit about what it is that we went through as members of this Hebrew Israelite thing. Uptown Film says, same here. I used to deal with it for a good while, but I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't going nowhere. Yeah. That's usually what happens, in that place. You feel you get stuck pretty much. Over the years, I was like, not only was I not going anywhere, but I was being lied to. I just felt like I was just being lied to so much, and I didn't see any truth in what they were saying, pretty much. Let me see. But yeah, I've been putting out different things based on speaking to Hebrew Israelites. Like, this is a video called "Did a Black Man Create the Russian Language?" Hebrew Israelites come out and say things like that. Black people created the Russian language. That black people created everything. Black man was the first president. Shakespeare was black. Abraham Lincoln was black. Everybody's black. That's important. They say slavery was horrible, but yet they will promote slavery and putting the white man in, slave ships and all of that. I wanted to talk about a bunch of different things. I was going to do a video on the ICGJC and talk about that, but I'm trying to invite people to come on that call themselves Hebrew Israelites so we can talk about the scriptures that they like to pretty much bring up all the time. Let me see. So he says, Uptown Films on the live chat says, I'm not going to lie though. I always wanted one of those outfits that the ICGC had on, them red ones with the friend is I'm not going to Jaws always. I don't know if I understand everything you said. It disappears fast. I'm not going Jaws always like those outfits. Yeah, I had to pay a good pretty penny for those outfits, I'll tell you that. But I was in there for almost 7 years, and I bought maybe 5 different garments. No, maybe 4 different garments over 7 years from them, and they range anywhere from $350 to $500, I think, something like that. So we were paying a lot. Let me see if I can find something else. So let's see here. That cannot be her. I mean, this is Tazadakia here, pretty much. Well, this is Saint Basil. That's Tazadakia, right? I wanted to talk about how they went live the ICGJC on Vocab Malone's channel. So I was gonna go over that. If nobody's gonna join, like I wanted to talk to an ICGJC or a Hebrew Israelite, period, and talk about things like Revelation chapter 1, verse 5 and 6. Should have probably had a Bible out and ready to read. But Revelation chapter 1, verse 13 to through 13 to 15. It's Daniel chapter 10, verse 5 and 6 that I was thinking about. They pretty much stick to those scriptures when it comes to breaking down Jesus Christ's skin color, right? Now, I have other garments. I don't have them ready, and I don't really want to step to the side right now. I don't know exactly where they're at, but I have the garments that my grandmother made, because my grandmother made certain garments for me that I only paid like $60 for the material, fringes, the blue ribbon, some buttons. Maybe I would put on some of them, and we'll do the whole setup. I'll already have a bunch of headpieces, so she didn't always make a headpiece for it, but she'll make a belt, with the buttons snap on and all of that. Like I had the official outfit, the whole get up. But then the outfits that I bought at the cult in the cult, I think I threw all them joints out. I wanted them to do a bonfire one time with that shit. Yeah, I couldn't stand the sight of it. You know what I mean? Like, because I would think about everything, that I went through while wearing that thing, the money I paid for it too. I'd rather just burn that shit instead of keeping it around because it's not going to go to any use. Maybe I could have used some of that material to do something else with it, you know. But not really, like I don't know, maybe I could have gave it to my grandmother to do something else with it. She could have made some sheets with it or something, some curtains with the fringes. But I just said, you know what, I'm just tossing this out. One day I just threw them out. I think I still had like three of them. I think I only got three of them over the years, if I remember correctly, because every time you got a new rank, you needed a new garment. So they'll charge you, anywhere from like $350 to $500, I believe was the price for those. I remember paying something like that. But yeah, man, I want to talk about like those scriptures that Hebrew Israelites would use to pretty much talk about all this stuff. You still have more from the ICG. Now, I don't have anything from the ICGJC. I don't have any of those. The only ones I have, the only outfits I have, the garments I have, is the ones my grandmother made, which has nothing to do with the ICGJC. It's just like, garments that you can wear to like different classes, because you didn't have to wear that ranking garment. You're talking about the ranking garment with the shield. It's like a yellow shield of David. And then inside of that shield of David was your rank. It'll say captain of 13,000 or something like that, which was my rank. That's what you're talking about. Or they have, they'll have the general, whatever it is. I never made general. I was always either officer of 500. Yeah, officer of 500. That's our graduating rank. Or I moved up eventually to captain of 13,000. So those are the only two ranks I ever held. And then I got put out for missing 4 Sabbaths in a row. That's the Saturday classes. Even though I was going to the Friday night classes, I missed 4 Sabbaths in a row, and then I got put out. And I had came back after that. But yeah, I was there for like 7 years. That's why I could. What's good, Imam Hussein? I was there, and that's why I could talk about some of the things that they say to this day that I'm like, oh, now that was wrong. Bro, how many times do I have to tell you, Uptown Films? I don't have any of those red ones. I don't have any of the ones that came from the ICGJC, bro. For the third time. But we talk if we go into like Revelation chapter 1, verse 13 through 15, right? Um, it says that his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. Now, if as you see, it says white like wool, and they use trickery. These cats trick the hell out of you by saying that, oh no, that means his hair was white and woolly, when it's actually saying that his hair was white like wool. It's not talking about the texture, it's talking about the color. I've always said that. And I repeatedly say that to people that even till this day try to argue and say that no, it's saying that his hair was woolly. But when you look at what the scripture says, obviously it says his hair was white like wool. It doesn't say that his hair was woolly. It doesn't say anything like that. I wish I could come up. You know what? Let me pull up I guess a Hebrew Israelite going into that. Right? If we can let me see. Revelation. I would rather hear it so you could hear it live, because these Hebrew Israelites, they'll go into the scriptures and do, they'll do videos, of course. Let me see if I'll put the live chat. What's good, Jimmy Jordan? What's the deal, bro? Good to see you streaming. I've missed the last couple. Okay, yeah, I'm back. I wanted to come on because I just haven't really been doing it the way I wanted to, besides the last one, which you should watch, with a brother that used to be a very high rank in Minnesota. That was the last live stream I did. It came out really good. I really, it could have been better, but I mean, it was good. I'll say that the next one I do with him is going to be way better. Revelation. So Revelation chapter 1. I guess if I put Revelation and Israelite, it'll probably just come up, so you can see how they talk about these things. About these scriptures. Israelites. Israelites. The Israelites. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Israelites. Search. Yeah, so we can see exactly what they say, because I want to go through it all. So Israelites. I should have put black Israelite. But let me see, if I put black, it'll probably come up. I don't want to put too many words because I hate, man, searching through here through the remote. It takes forever. But yeah, if we could get a Revelation chapter 1 breakdown, that'd be great. Let me see. Probably should have had one ready before I went on. Hebrew Israelites are racist. Africa, you've been lied to. No. See, it's coming up with certain things, but I want the actual Revelation chapter 1, the whole breakdown. They love to go through these things. Let's see. Israeli one for the capture after attack. All right, let's see. Black Hebrew, don't call me black no more. Don't call me black no more. I'm an Israelite. Jesus was black. 1986, Frank Cherry founded the Church of was like downtown Baltimore. See, this is another group here, but I want to see if I could get a good. Yeah, I guess if we just put, Revelation. Let me see. Jesus was black. Let's put that. Jesus, Jesus is black. Jesus Christ is black. Jesus was black. Look, it came up. Boom. Jesus was black. Hebrew Israelites. If I put a specific church, it'll probably come up with a breakdown. I just don't know if they have anything like that online. So, like, who exactly has it? Let's see. Black Hebrew Israelite. My bad, y'all. I see y'all still on here and all of that. Appreciate y'all coming through. I'm gonna get right back to you. Let's go over this real quick. Thank for all of your good work and all your blessings. Thank you, 888 McKella. So do the IC. So somebody asked, does the ICGJC say all the major characters of the Old Testament are black? Yeah, they say all of them are black, pretty much. Yeah. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. That's why when they go into those scriptures that they call the color scriptures, I can go into all of them, and we would have to go into the Hebrew with like Jeremiah chapter 14 verse 2, Job 30 and 30, Lamentations 5 and 10, Lamentations chapter 4 verse 8. We would have to go into the Hebrew, but if you go to Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 9, I believe it shows you that the word black, when they talk about the word black, it's not talking about color, because it tells you the astonishment of my people hath taken hold on me. I am black. It's like there's no context there about skin color. It's talking about something else. It's talking about being astonished, being down, being depressed, and going through different things during the time of the lamentations, during the lamenting. When you lament, blackness represents lamenting. Black represents all of that. Colors represent things in the Bible. White represents purity in the Bible. Jesus was black, Hebrew Israelite. Let's see. Fruit Jesus Christ was black. Okay. Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. Yeah, I would have to look up a specific video. I should have had it ready, but
when you actually read the Bible, it has nothing to do with that. So we're gonna read you the scriptures, read you the commandments, and you can actually follow the Bible. White man, G Win. God looks like according to the Bible. No, we gonna get it all. So what is this? So why is this in your church? It's a lie. It's a lie. That's what Paul says this.
There's people in the streets that not even Hebrew Israelites that believe Jesus is black. Like, people are insane, man. That shit's crazy to me. It just doesn't make sense. And it's like you go by the scripture, especially if you go by the scriptures. That's not true.
You see that? That's a lie. When you actually read the Bible, being white, you being what's your nationality? Honduras.
What's your nationality? They always talk about nationality. Like, that word can mean what nation you were born in, what nation you're a citizen of. That could be your nationality. That's actually how most people use it today. Not your ethnicity. Ethnicity, that's how you say ethnicity. That's how it is. They flew up from San Diego up here to the Bay Area. I remember this one teacher. I dealt with his name as Dr. Michael Ben Israel, aka Micah Allah. Michael Ben Israel, Micah Allah, and I studied with him 3 years, 3 months. So then you've heard the white like wool, as white as snow. You've heard that, right? They flew up from San Diego up here to the Bay Area. I met him in Oakland, Laney College. Michael Ben Israel. I don't know if I ever heard of Michael Ben Israel. If he goes by Micah Allah, he's been in contact with 1 West 125th Street Hebrew Israelites from Harlem. So as you moved up in the rank, they're more about the religion revealed to you by the preacher. So as you moved up in rank, was there more about the religion revealed to you by the preacher? Yeah, there's more about the breakdowns, and you learn the doctrine, and then you get in the inner workings, and you might see some things, that you probably won't see if you're lower in the ranks. But let me see. Venice Beach Hebrew Israelites fighting with black Israelites. Oh, I love this cat, the Philly captain. He's hilarious. Christian vape addict. Oh Lord, farmers market. Nathan, creation of IUIC. Everybody wants to learn about Kyrie Irving and all of that. Everybody wants to know. Ever since Kyrie Irving and Kanye and all these cats are talking about Jesus being black, everybody wants to talk about that now. People are getting pressed based off of that. Well, let's see. We could talk about. I wish I just had scripture that supposedly talks about the color of Christ. Jesus. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna be able to just come across anything like that, but I mean, let's see. Let's just put a video because they usually talk about these things, so it might come up. You learned a lot of good stuff. Yeah, I learned some good stuff myself too. Let's see. Little Lotus film. Teach everybody. Yo, what's up? What's going on here? White boy Israelite. What's good? So, Uptown Film. My bad, I ain't catching up with everything. February 15th, 2007, on Friday, 11:07. All the way till technically May 14th, 2010. And we had the Feast of First Fruits. Thing was hella smirkish. Going on with the spirit and the energy. And the day after Shabbat, almost got the fist fight at Ramada Hotel. So now, what is my ex-wife? He left both of us stranded away in San Diego. Damn, that's crazy. Learned a lot of good stuff. I just seemed a lot. I just seemed off after a while, and I really did put my whole heart into it. Watching YouTube by CGJC, so-called comforted. Yeah. Let's do this. Black Hebrew Israelite. I guess if I put maybe ISUPK, we'll get it. I want a specific video where they're talking about Jesus Christ being black. Revelation chapter 1, all of that shit. Who are the black Hebrews? Nah, man, you see, they're not coming up with good one. Questions the Hebrews. ISUPK. Let me see. Yeah, because, like, they trick you. They try to trick you with those scriptures in Revelation chapter 1. You know, where it says that his hair was white like wool, and it's telling you that it's a color. It's not talking about texture. Restricted. Reason is rated R because what we about to bring out is an offense to the entire world, but that's not new because we bring out the gospel. Okay, now. Yeah, that's right. They booked the ISUPK booked the convention center. Check this out. I'll bring this out real quick. They booked the convention center, and everybody, you know, it was in North Carolina, and people were going crazy in the city because the convention center is funded by taxpayer money, and they didn't want them in there.
You might recognize a group of black separatists that occasionally gathers in Raleigh's Moore Square. That group has ties to a nationally known hate group. And this weekend, they will hold their annual Passover celebration at the Raleigh Convention Center. WRL's Joe Fisher is live in downtown Raleigh. And Joe, the gathering is raising some concerns. Deborah, this group is widely viewed as anti-Semitic and anti-white. The city tells me they expect about 500 members here at the convention center this weekend. Today, we found out that the contract for this event was finalized more than 4 months ago, back in November. But the city, along with the mayor, say they just found out exactly who rented this space earlier this week.
They just found out this week.
On the streets of downtown Raleigh, you'll find members of the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, or the ISUPK.
That's Captain whatever Karatzaza, who I debated twice, briefly.
The group's leader is Commanding General Yahana, seen in this YouTube video touring the Raleigh Convention Center. It's where the ISUPK will hold its annual Passover celebration on Saturday.
Convention Center. Hey, Uptown Films, do you believe in some of the doctrines like Jesus Christ being black?
Part of the radical Hebrew Israelites, which the Southern Poverty Law Center identifies as a hate group for its anti-Semitic, anti-white, and anti-LGBT views, and chapters that, quote, perpetuate the anti-Semitic belief that so-called Jews have stolen their identity and birthright.
They call us a hate group because we turn around and say
The white man is the devil for the things that he's done. The word devil just means adversary. It really is deeply
The word devil just means adversary. But you know what you mean by that. Not just he's an adversary, he's wicked, he's evil. That's what they're trying to say. He's dirty, murderous.
I mean, if this was the KKK or other hate groups that are more widely known, I can't imagine this would be allowed to happen. The city says the space was rented by a third party. Writing in a statement, we were not aware of any relationship between TGF Solutions Incorporated and the referenced group, and the event was handled in the same manner as all other bookings. Our expectation is that the group will adhere to all contract terms. It appears there's some loophole here that needs to be looked at more closely. Rabbi Solomon says he respects people's First Amendment rights, but feels the city should not make space for hate. This is not what we need in our city.
Hey, man, that's what they're going to do.
As a spokesperson for the city,
they have to abide by, they're trying to respect everybody's religious belief. That's it. I get that. And I don't have a problem with giving them a platform to let them do whatever, speak their crap, to schedule an event. I really don't mind that. But I guess I can understand why people might have an issue with that, because like the dude said a little while ago, he said if it was the KKK or any like neo-Nazi type of groups, that there would be a problem and people will be out there protesting. But when you see Black Hebrew Israelites trying to do things, and then people come and try to say something about it, they act like they're the victims, and it's like that's what happened with any hate group. All right. The Black Hebrew Israelites, many members of Black Hebrew Israelite groups have murdered and killed white people, have attacked white people, have done all types of stuff. So, because I know there's going to be people that say, well, we never lynched nobody. We never burned crosses on anybody's. I've heard Hebrew Israelites talk like that, and I've heard people that are not even Hebrew Israelites talk like that. Like people that are like some of my friends that are just very pro-Black. I'm like, wow, that's crazy that you guys have no affiliation as a Hebrew Israelite compared to like somebody who's just like a liberal or something. But yet y'all talk exactly the same. Y'all say the same thing. We never burnt no crosses on nobody's lawns, and it's like, but y'all do be killing people. You got to burn a cross on somebody's front yard to be considered racist? Like that's the ultimate, fucking hate that you can do is burn a cross. Like relax. But yeah, he said, I don't deal with any of it no more. It's just see all them bothers. Yep. So yeah, let's see. IUIC have come across. But yeah, let's go over that. Because there you go. The sign is going to show you some of the things that they say. This is what I want to talk about. So-called color scriptures. The color of Christ.
Well, the presence of a sign located at the intersection of South 18th Street and Texas Avenue in Monroe is turning heads for some residents. Fox 14's Brian Briggs brings us more information about the religious group behind the sign and how one resident feels about it being in Northeast Louisiana. If you influence somebody just a little bit and they run with that can go any route. Hunter Bailey saw this sign at the intersection. South 18th Street and Texas Avenue, Monroe.
Let's bring that back.
And they run with that can go.
So check that sign out.
Bailey saw this sign at the intersection of South 18th Street and Texas Avenue, Monroe.
Look how the IUIC make this guy look like Nathaniel. This image of Jesus Christ, they make him look like Nathaniel, the leader of the IUIC. This is what they're doing in the church. They're making the leader look like Jesus Christ, or they're making Jesus Christ look like the leader when they draw these images. Yo, I've seen this before. This is crazy. This is weird right here, what they're doing. But check what they say. His eyes were a flame of fire, right? Let's see.
And they run with that can go any route. Hunter Bailey. Son.
Okay. So Christ's eye color, okay? From the tribe, his eyes were as a flame of fire. He drunk wine in moderation. That's why they say his eyes were a flame of fire, because he drunk wine in moderation. They're trying to get away from the fact that it's actually describing a spiritual or Jesus Christ coming in a spiritual form. And this is, I'm just going by what the scripture says. It doesn't necessarily mean that I believe in any of this anyways, and the validity of it. It doesn't matter. We're just going by what it says, whether it's true or not. Christ's eye color, his eyes were as a flame of fire. And in parentheses, it says, he drunk wine in moderation. If y'all can see that. He drunk wine in moderation. That's not why it says his eyes were as a flame of fire. They get that from the book of Genesis chapter 49, where it says that Judah, his teeth were white with milk and his eyes were red with wine. It's not saying that his eyes were red because of wine, and it's not saying that his teeth were white because of milk. None of that is the reason why it's saying that. It's so crazy. It's a poetic way of speaking by saying that his eyes were like wine. They were red like wine. When it says with wine, it means like wine. When it says his teeth were white with milk, it means his teeth were white like milk. Doesn't mean that it was his teeth are white because he drinks milk. Does that make any sense? It's it's crazy as hell. And the reason why it says his eyes were red with wine is because wine is red. It's saying his teeth were white with milk is because milk is white. Like the teeth, he's trying to describe the teeth to the color white and how milk is white. The same thing with wine. Wine is red, and he was trying to say his eyes were red like fire, which is what Revelation is talking about. It's talking about fire. It's talking about Jesus Christ coming in a spiritual form, and he didn't look like the normal human being. This is not talking about he was drunk, man. He drunk wine in moderation. They want to put it in. No, they used to say he was literally drunk back in the days. So this is another crazy story about the IUIC. Now it says Christ's skin color. Well, yeah. No, that since that's in Revelation 15, let's stick to this. It says Christ's hair texture, right? His head and hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. So his hair was white. It doesn't mean that his hair was woolly. Woolly is not even a common way that people describe hair texture. You know, it's not. I mean, I guess to Black Hebrew Israelites it is, but um, woolly hair can be white hair too. White hair can be woolly too. Woolly is not necessarily, uh, you know, Negro hair only. It can be different types of hair. Wool feels a certain way, and it's frizzy, and it could be real curly, curled up. Some wool I've seen is straight. If you look at the what they call Jacob's sheep, there's a certain type of sheep called Jacob sheep. Their hair isn't really curled up or like frizzy, like how you see, you know, the shepherd sheep, what they call them. There's different types of sheep. Then you have Christ was an Israelite. He came from the tribe of Judah. Okay, we know that. But just to focus on that, talking about the skin, the hair texture, his hair texture. Nowhere in the Bible does it talk about his hair texture. It's talking about the color. That's why it says his hairs, his head and his hairs were white like wool. His whole head was white. It was shining and bright. That's what it was. It was glowing. It was like white heat. His head and his hairs, which is the hair now. This is crazy how they said, oh no, they'll tell you this. His head is talking about the hair on his head, and the hairs is talking about his beard. What? That doesn't make any goddamn sense, man. His head and his hairs. So not only was his hair white, his whole head was white. They show him his head black here, or a brownish color, like Like Nathaniel is what they're trying to make him look like. He looks purple, actually. It looks like his skin is blending in with the purple garment that these cats like to wear. But then check this out right here. Christ's skin color, right? It says his feet like unto fine brass as if they burned in a furnace. This is still talking about white. You know why? Because anything that's burning, because it's talking about present tense, burned is not talking about past tense. They always get you with that because of the ed at the end. They'll tell you, oh, why is this burned? The scriptures talk about when something is past tense, it's burnt with a T. Burned is actively happening. It's called past participle or present participle. When something is actively happening, you can still say that it burned. It burned while I did this. It's present tense. It's happening. Brass or metals, they don't get burnt and become toasty black and charcoal and then they're done. That's not what happens. That's why there's a refining process when you burn it. It's to clean it and get all the impurities out of it, and it becomes brighter. It doesn't become darker. It becomes brighter, and that is what this is all symbolizing in the scriptures. It's talking about brightness. When you go to Daniel chapter 10, verse 5 and 6, it says that his hair was like the pure wool. Now, that right there is also telling you about the color. How was his hair like the pure wool? You know, his hair was like the pure wool in color. And if they, since they love going into what they call precepts, what's up, Jason Cree? And since they love going into what they call precepts, right? Then where's the precept? How was Jesus Christ's hair like the pure wool? Let's go to Revelation chapter 1, where it says his head and his hairs were white like wool. That's how Jesus Christ's hair was like wool. It was like wool in terms of color, not the texture of it. So you see how they try to trick you? It's such like, and then they don't see it because they're so accustomed to hearing the lies. It's like you can't even get around it with them, you know? They'll try to jump somewhere else. But there's other scriptures I could go to. I'm wanting to debate somebody and really get into these scriptures. Anybody that still believes that they're Hebrew Israelite, or anybody that believes that Jesus Christ is black or whatever, and uses Revelation chapter 1, verse 13 through 15, or Daniel chapter 10, verse 5 to 6. I want to go live, with you, and we can go through the scriptures and have some type of debate, something that's friendly, no arguments. I'm not going to go dealing with pretty much, fighting or whatever, arguing or name calling, none of that stuff. If you see other translation, it says white like wool and snow. Yeah, there you go. White like wool and snow. So let you know it's talking about color. Because if it's saying white like wool and that's not talking about color, then how come you understand that when it says white like snow, it's talking about color. You understand that. You can go into something else with the snow. Now, if you really want to play with the mind games and say, oh well, white like snow means it's cold like snow. But it says white like snow, white like wool. Yeah, but wool is the texture of it. But it's talking about texture. It's talking about the color of wool. It says white like wool, white like snow, white like wool, like snow. It's the same thing. There's other scriptures that talk about black as this and as black as that. It's just edifying pretty much, or reiterating something that was already said to stress the point. As black as the tents of Kedar, as black as this, as black as that. There's sometimes it reaffirms it repeats it, and even compares it to something else that's also that color. Like the scripture says in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 18, it says, and though your sins be red as crimson, I shall make them white as snow. And it says, though your sins are red, they shall be as wool. Where I stand on it now is this: I just simply looked at Deuteronomy chapter 7 with our 7 nations and look at our current situation, the hood gentrification. Gentrification.
Time has a big announcement.
I don't think gentrification is even necessarily a bad thing. I don't understand what's so bad about gentrification. Okay, so businesses come into the neighborhood, and the property value of the neighborhood goes up. Now there's businesses coming in. Things are getting better. It looks like, it seems. There's more things that are available for you to get. As far as food, there's more things that you can get. From for your neighbor, for your house in your neighborhood. You can, because they're complaining in Chicago now that Walmart is pulling out of Chicago, and it's because pretty much they're stealing from the Walmarts. And now that the Walmart wants to pull out, the residents of Chicago saying they're trying to starve the black community. They don't want to put supermarkets in our neighborhoods. They're trying to starve the black community, and it's like they're leaving because they're not profitable there. So when they come into the neighborhood, they complain. When they leave the neighborhood, they complain. You can't do anything to please people that just want to be the victim all the time. Gentrification is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, the what they complain about is that now they can't afford, people that can't afford the rent. Well, that's why it's good to own, because if you own that property where they built a nice little supermarket now in your area, now your property value skyrockets and you become richer. So you have to fucking get your shit up, get your shit together, go ahead and get something loan and or something to get property. Property is very important. Why do you think that there's so many blacks and Hispanics that are at the bottom of the damn food pyramid, or whatever you want to call it? We at the bottom because we don't own property, at the same level that Asians own property or white people own property. We don't get as great jobs that pay actual, like, big, like good salaries, like doctors, dentists. You don't really see, you see more you see the ones that become doctors are like Indians. You have Indians, you have Asians. They're the ones that be the doctors, and they also do work like engineering. They do back end coding and all that type of stuff. Better off living alone than living with relatives. Yeah, that's for sure. Living with relatives can be a horrible thing. You said you're amazing to say you saw the BHI Satan hatred firsthand and you exposing it to assist others. Seems like everybody's getting. I don't know what that means, but let me see. I'm just reading some of the comments for the people that can't see the comments. Watching this later on, it's like everybody's getting their turn to rule over everybody. Now it's Caucasian, no telling who's next. Now I don't look at it like that. That's the Hebrew Israelite. Not even Hebrew Israelite. There's a lot of people that look at it like that. You have China doing their own thing in their own space. You have that going on right now. You have uh countries like Uganda that has now made it illegal. They have their own country. Everybody has their own space in their own country to do their own thing. Unless you start to push those boundaries, those lines, those imaginary lines and those borders, and you want to move on into other people's country. Now there could be a problem. You got the United States, that we have a lot of issues that's keeping us down as a people. Health issues are really bad in the United States compared to a lot of countries. We probably have better alliances and a stronger military than a lot of other countries do, which makes the United States more powerful. But I don't think there's one people ruling over everybody. Like, that way of thinking, man, just that needs to stop, man. That's not what's happening. You got people in their own country. You got Japan doing their own thing. You got China doing their own thing. You got the Philippines. You got countries in Africa that they're able to commit genocide in some cases. With Rwanda, what happened? What the movie Hotel Rwanda, that was just allowed to go on for a long ass time, and it wasn't any help coming in, really. you know um do we want to assist in those situations, or we want to stay out of those situations? There's some people that want America to just stay out of situations, so it's like But then when they don't come in to assist, it's like then they get blamed for those things. So it's like, it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I personally would I'm more conservative in those situations, but I'll pull back pretty much and let countries deal with their own issues. That would be the best way I think to deal with it. Unless it's one of our alliances, that's the thing. It's like you could be in debt to a country, or you have some type of alliance or agreement written down where if we need your help, you're going to assist us, or maybe you can make a trade or some weapons deals or something like that could happen. But there's not one people ruling over another. And it's not just by chance. It's like there's people that do good because they are actually focused on doing better, becoming successful in life. There's a lot of people that are not really making the best decisions in their lives to become successful, and I don't know, it's just, and then some people are just more powerful and successful than others, and the shit continues on. Now, how can we change it? I don't think there's ever going to be a time when it's going to be anything like what you saw back in the time of the Jews and the Romans. That's not what's going on right now. This is not how we're living. We're not slaves. We're not, there's nobody ruling over us. You can go move out of America and move to Dominican Republic. Go ahead and move to Ghana. Right now, Ghana is allowing Black Americans and West Indians, people, Black West Indians, to come and receive citizenship. You can become a citizen of Ghana. That means that you can get loans there and get property there, or if you need government assistance, you can even get that as a citizen. You can vote. You can get all of that. You can put your kids in school in Ghana. So Black people that complain about being an American, how they hate America with being ruled over, then you can go ahead and move to Ghana. You can do that. Why still keep complaining? You know what I mean? A lot of that comes from this. I don't know, man. This, I don't even want to get into too much of that, because I definitely want to stick with the Hebrew Israelites and their scriptures, the type of things that they talk about. But this complaining, this constant complaining about, well, we just can't do no good. And it's like, yes, you can. And in some cases, African Americans have better opportunities to become successful because there's a lot of help out here specifically for Black or African Americans, just because they're Black, just because they're African Americans. They get the affirmative action pushes for them to get a certain amount of acceptance into schools. Like the schools have to have a certain amount of people, pretty much. A certain amount of people in the school. Black men would be better off living alone. Black family issue. This is Jason Creed. I'm reading this comment. It says Black people. Jason Creed says Black people would be better off living alone, but family issues sent to hold Black men back. A lot of these Israelites live with family. Israelite philosophy tends to pamper their sensitivity. Yeah, very sensitive people. Hebrew Israelites are very sensitive. You can't say anything about what they believe. They start getting mad, and they might not show that they're mad, but they might try to laugh it off, but then they'll start insulting you, or they get offended. Because you don't believe in what they believe, you're insulting them. If you insult their beliefs. Keep up the good work, Miguel. I've got to pull a Machiavelli and disappear. All right, Uptown. Thank you for coming through. Nate 2D2 is in the house. What's good, brother? Black men would be better off living alone. I'll say this, Jason. I'm gonna say this. I sound like a Hebrew Israelite still. I'll say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Tahar is always saying it. What happens with Asians, and even some Hispanics are like this. Their families actually stick together. Yeah, Black Hebrew Israelites can't debate. You're right, Jason Creed. There's very few. I would say not all of them across the board, but the vast majority of them, like 99% of them, man. Because there's a lot of them out there, and I've really only seen about 3 that I'm like, okay, that person could at least debate, maybe 4. Um, and they know certain things, but they get caught up. I've seen like Gorilla Hebrew, I think, is one of the better ones, but I've seen him get shut down before by one of Vocab Malone's friends. I forget his name, Sam. Then there's Divine Prospect, who I think is okay because he's so studied. You know, he's one of the better ones, but he's still average. Like as far as the person that debates, that's the thing. It's like these cats just be average, and then the average debater in the Black Hebrew Israelite community is actually like amazing compared to the rest. So you got Divine Prospect, then you got man, I can't even think of anybody else right now because I've seen like Captain Tazaryak, and I'm thinking about him, and I'm like, okay, he might fit up there. And then there's also Danya Allah, who I think he's one of the worst ones, but people think he's great, and I don't think so. I think he's one of the worst ones. And then you got people that like are the faces of like the ICGJC. St. Basil's a horrible debater. He doesn't debate. First of all, these cats don't debate. And but I want to listen to the rest of that video. I don't know. I don't think I've seen this before with the IUIC. But yeah, as far as the people that debate within the community, I can't think of a lot of them that are good.
Charged with hate crimes. The Anti-Defamation League.
But yeah, this is gonna go into. Let me see. So this came out 3 years ago, and it's gonna show you a IUIC member that was actually messing with a trans, and he basically ended up getting arrested because the trans, I think, was gonna expose him, and he was going crazy, and he tried to beat her up or him or whatever, however you want. I don't want to misgender them. I think it's damn canceled. But he basically got arrested, and then it came out that
information about the religious group Israel United in Christ, based out of Jackson, Mississippi. But it's not about what's on the sign that's turning heads. IUIC is a small.
They're not based out of Jackson, Mississippi, but they do have a congregation there.
A denomination of the Black Hebrew Israelites, which has been deemed a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. This is due to affiliations made by.
See, now this was a story with the IUIC member that beat up a trans woman. And this IUIC member is suspected that this member. Can I do it sideways? No, it's locked. It's suspected that this member I was actually messing around. I don't know how that came out, but let me see. So it says a suspect with ties to a black separatist hate group has been arrested in Indiana on attempted murder and other charges related to shooting at a transgender woman in the face last week. If y'all can see that. So this is the dude right here. He looks like damn Jar Jar Bings. I wish they would show his whole face.
Those charged
weird looking dude.
The Anti-Defamation League breaks them down as
follows. That's a weird looking dude.
Hebrew Israelites is Israel United in Christ.
But yeah, Israel United in Christ, man. I mean,
and educate black individuals of their true place in society.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Is just educate black individuals.
As many black individuals as possible. This also includes individuals of Latino and Native American.
That 12 tribe sign is insane crazy. This joint is crazy, right? They have Haitians as one of the tribes, and then you got Mexicans there too. As where are the Mexicans at? See it
globally
they zoomed in.
Individuals as possible. This also includes
they zoomed in so you can't see it, but there's Issachar right there. I mean, just the fact that you got Haitians and Dominicans. There's Dominicans that are not anything close to being African American or I'm sorry, African at all. But if you really want to get crazy, and you compare a Haitian to a Mexican, man, come on, man. How do Haitians and Mexicans even fit on the same tribe or nation chart? And then this is all unscientific anyways. There's nothing scientific about this. The way that they say that this even works is through the father's seed. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense, man. Some of these children too, like Issachar, I believe, and Benjamin, I believe, Issachar and Benjamin, or Zebulun and Benjamin had the same father and mother. Was it Benjamin? Or was it Benjamin and Ephraim? Same father and mother. It was also the Haitians, right? So Reuben is supposed to be the Seminole Indians. They're supposed to have the same father and mother as Haitians. And look how completely different Native Americans look from Haitians. It's not anything similar at all. I mean, if you really want to get crazy, you compare Haitian to an Issacharite, or a Haitian to a Mexican, and it's like how is the tribe of Levi the same as the tribe of Issachar? Haitians and Mexicans are not even anywhere closely related to each other in the human genome. I mean, it's not. It's very, very far off. Yeah, man. I've been trying. Jason Creed. I've been trying to get Black Hebrew Israelites. That there's about 6,200 members in this Jews versus Hebrew Israelite group, right? So like 4,000 of them are Black Hebrew Israelites. Like it's over 3,000 of them. It's over half of them, at least more than half of the people that I see responding. Like it's almost 2/3 are Black Hebrew Israelites, and you can tell just based off of the comments, the posts, the likes, and all of that. Because sometimes I'll see a post that is popular in the group, and then I'll look at the likes and dislikes or laughters and all of that, or just the people that comment, and it's usually the same Jewish people commenting. So these are the European or white Jews that are the ones that connected to the ones that are in Israel now, who genetically have come out as being half, like almost like 40 to 50% Polish or European, but they do have a close connection to Canaanites, which were the ancient Israelites before the Israelites. It was the Canaanites, but they're connected genetically. Believe it or not, I know Hebrew Israelites don't believe that, but Canaanites and Israelites are connected. There's just no doubt about it. The language is there, the genetics is there, and the culture is there. Even the name for God is always there, and you can read it in the Bible when it says, when you read in Hebrew, in what is it, Exodus chapter 3, I believe, or chapter 6, verse 3, the name of God, yeah, 6 and 3. You read it in Hebrew is Baal. It's Baal. That is the ancient Canaanite god that the Israelites changed. They took part of that god, which with what's called cultural diffusion. In this case, it would be a religious cultural diffusion, and they used what's already known as a god, and they took part of that and took and integrated into their culture. As Hebrew Israelites, now they follow a god that's similar to Baal. It is what it is. I mean, it's the Yahweh God is Baal. It's the same crap, man. But not to disrespect your belief, but that's what I consider it to be. But this is the 12 tribe sign. I know y'all probably can't see it this far, but it cuts off Naphtali at the bottom. You can almost see it. That's supposed to be the Chileans and the Argentinians, but that's the 12 tribes chart. That's one of the most famous ones that you can find out there. That I don't know who created that one. But every church has like their own sign that they develop, and they'll put property of so and so, whatever church created it. But yeah, that's let me see.
It's individuals of Latino and Native American descent. On their official website, they state the following. Yes, that was the past, not meant to stir up bitterness, but rather a desire for truth. Knowing the past will make us understand the future.
IUICs, they're one of the sneakiest people.
Many things that trouble our minds. While this group claims that they'll be preaching their message in a nonviolent way, residents have mixed emotions about the sign being here and their presence here in the Twin Cities.
I've talked to a few who aren't out for violence. They're just for spreading what they.
Hey, if you want to come on, Jason Creed, let me send you a message.
Attempt to kill people who they think are the fake Jews. Not that it matters ultimately, whether how the depiction of Christ is, but
I sent you the link because I can't do it. I don't know why they don't let me do it on here. I just want to have somebody to talk to because Hebrew Israelites don't want to talk. These cats run. Have you heard of the idea that Native Americans were actually black people? Do black Israelites subscribe to that at all? Some of them do. I forget the name of the guy, Dante Fortson or something. He does subscribe to that. And here's Jason Creed coming on. I should have got the sound effect for the clapping as he comes in.
Hey, sir, how you doing?
What's up, sir? How you doing?
All right. Thank you for letting me be a guest on your show.
Oh yes, sir. I was going to ask you, and then you sent me a text, right?
I don't think so. I don't think I sent you. I don't think you.
That must have been an old one. I just looked it up real quick. I looked up your name, and I didn't really take a look at the last text you sent me. I was wondering if you just sent me that right now, but
Okay.
no,
No problem.
yeah, but I was trying to get. There's a lot of news. There's a lot of news reports going around with the ICGJC, IUIC, mostly IUIC and ISUPK, where they're trying to do something legally, and then they get this cat Kanai. There's always like some issue with that when they people don't like what they're trying to do. They don't want them to be part of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Cats actually won this court case though, IUIC. So let me see. That got rooted today, so we're ecstatic. I'm disappointed in the ruling.
An Oklahoma County judge striking down a temporary restraining order against the Israel United in Christ religious group after they demonstrated on the sidewalk outside of Ebenezer Baptist Church and several other Metro Black churches following Sunday services. The IUIC says it's carrying out a Blitz the Christian Church movement.
The commandments about him not being taught in the churches.
However, Ebenezer Baptist Church calling it harassment.
Why do y'all worship on Sunday? Where in the Bible can we read that?
We don't need you to tell us how to live our lives. So that is fed up pretty much, and he put out a restraining order against the IUIC because they'll camp out in front of their church on Sundays. They'll do a recruit the Christians mission or whatever.
So they basically camped outside the church,
Yeah,
and the church filed a restraining order against them.
yeah, but it's not property. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they probably were at some point on church property, but then they started moving away, so they can't put that restraining order on them. And I don't. They'll give you the details though. I'm gonna continue playing it in a minute, and they'll give you the details of why I think. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they will be out there. This is a pretty big gathering. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. I think that's 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, maybe 39. That's 40, almost 40 brothers setting up outside of a church. So most people will go out, hand flyers, while you got a speaker on the microphone and maybe a reader or two readers helping out the speaker. And then they'll rotate some of the people handing out flyers and put them up on their speaking or reading or whatever over and over. But this is something that we kind of did in the ICGJC. Something similar to this. We went into me and 3 or 4 other brothers went into a study group one time that was happening in this Christian church. It was like a study session. Kind of blitzed the place. I was invited. I was the one that set it up. I was invited by a Christian dude that I was teaching, and he had some friends, some believers that were learning under him. And I did what was called a house call. I couldn't believe I was allowed to do this. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and we stayed there till like 11 o'clock, almost midnight, talking, and they were listening to me. And then after that, I got invited to go to the church and do the little study session with them. And that was like, we'll do like that was the most we ever did where we got inside, because we actually got inside of the place and were able to ask them questions in their environment, in their little session. But I don't think we ever went outside like that, and I mean, that there were actually, you know what? Now there was a spot that we would go to sometimes and do street speaking that it was just as public property. Actually, I think it was private property because it's like the bus station, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's considered. I think it's public actually. And then
Mm-hmm.
across the street was like a seafood fried chicken. No, it was mostly no, it was a seafood spot pretty much. And there would be a lot of black people that would come after church, but there was a church like a little bit down, and we would sometimes address them on the mic, but they would hardly ever be there when we were there. See them, um,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess to a Hebrew Israelite, this is a way to get members, more members, people that are in the Christian church because they are coming out of the Christian church. There's a lot of people coming out of the Christian churches joining, these Israelite groups. Yeah. You want me to play real quick, or you got anything to say about it, all of that? Did they do any of that in GMS? They don't do that with GMS, right?
No, they don't do stuff like that.
No. I've never seen anything like that with GMS. I've seen them they like to just be out and about where there's, the what are the broadways and byways and highways.
Well, one of the things that Tahar taught was you should be out in the midst of concourse where there's businesses at, where there's a lot of business going on. So what I would do, because I was inspired by them, I wasn't a follower necessarily, but I think I was a follower.
Yeah,
But
I think we could
they
call
wanted everybody watching the videos to go out and street preach.
right. Yeah,
So anyway, what he tells you is you should be in the midst of concourse, in the midst of business, okay, where there's a lot of business, a lot of folks walking in the street, and lift up your voice like a trumpet, okay, and yell and repeat Bible verses,
I
that
mean, even
that kind of
even
a
with
thing.
like preach to the wind or whatever. They put
Even preaching in the wind, exactly,
nobody there, which
with nobody there.
yeah, just the wind is there. He's just preaching, and like the wind is gonna carry that word
The
out.
word, yes, 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 sir. That's exactly what I did too, because I was a young idiot.
Yeah,
I was a moron. So I would go out, I would go out there, and I would even preach in the wind
right, right.
with the
Go out,
wind blowing, and the wind would blow, and the wind will somehow magically spread your voice out.
right. You would go out by yourself, right?
Right.
All right. Hey,
It was just me.
Ayla, peace out. I see you. But yeah, yeah. And hey, have you heard? Because there was a question by Imam Hussein that says, "Have you heard of the idea that Native Americans were actually black people? Do black Israelites ascribe to that at all? Not the one West Hebrew Israelites, but Dante Fortson is one of them that does. And then there's a dude that I think he probably follows Dante that used to be in my unit in the ICGJC, and then I had him on my live before years ago when I first started coming out. He was probably the first person that I went live with and debated or whatever about the existence of God. And I remember that live, and then it's kind of just it shut off on me. It was on Facebook Live, and I recorded it and then posted it. So it wasn't an actual live video, but he believes in that too. There's a bunch of African Americans that believe that the actual original Native Americans were black. Have you heard this before?
Yes. Like when you talk about the Olmec statues, they believe that those were black people.
Well, yeah, that. But they go even further,
Like
Jason.
so they'll use that as an example, saying, you see there, that was at one time they were black, and they claim that they mixed, like for example, the typical Hebrew Israelite, the one Westers,
Right,
they believe that the way that the Mexicans and Native American Indians and folks like that got brown was by them mixing and mingling with Asians and folks like that, because they claim that the northern tribes wanted to be blended with the other nations or something like
Ephraim is
that.
take not turned and all of that, right?
Yeah, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's some crazy stuff right there though, because I've heard that before.
Yeah,
But the Hebrew
that's
Israelite,
their whole explanation of the Northern Kingdom being brown, basically. Excuse me, I'm sorry, sir.
because I think with ICGJC, from what I remember, they say that happened when Assyria came in and sacked Samaria or northern Israel and brought the 10 tribes up to Assyria. I think that they would say that's when that happened. Like, I don't even, some of them say that they were always like that. That no, Ephraim was always like that until they became, or they were always different. They always looked different until I don't even know what time. That
Like, and then they turn around and I'm sorry, sir. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, you're good.
And then they turn around and say, like, when the kingdom gets started,
Hmm.
they'll be black again, or some shit like that.
Oh yeah. Which
But at the same time, though,
yeah,
tribes can't mix. Like the tribes don't mix.
right,
Like God doesn't allow. I don't think. I don't know where that's at. But like God doesn't allow the tribes to mix up.
right. That's true.
Like if you're a Judite, you have to marry a Judite woman.
And
If you're Ephraimite, you got. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's the book of Ezra.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was at. They say that was only at a certain time. That's what they'll say.
Yeah. On special occasion or something. I guess. I don't know.
They'll say that's the Black Hebrew Israelite response is, well, that only happened during the rebuilding of the temple, and during that time, God wanted to make the lineage of the seed, the nation more pure. So then that was only for that time. But then it's like, okay, where's the scripture that it says that now you can marry within with different tribes? That's the thing with the New Testament is that the New Testament, it seems like it changed everything, and now it doesn't matter if you're a Judite, you can be a priest or whatever. It doesn't
Right.
matter. Priesthood
Right.
is now done because Jesus Christ is from the tribe of Judah, right? It's evident that the Lord sprang from Judah. It's Hebrews 7:4, and
Right.
and then it says, that there weren't even that many like. I mean, I think you read about Phoebe being from the tribe of Asher or something like that.
Hmm.
Ali, and there weren't really that many 10 tribes out there that even knew who the hell they were. There was just like a mixture that happened over the years. And what science says, what actual history says about that, is that was already happening in Samaria for the longest time, in northern Israel, that they've been mixing for a long time. So
Hmm.
that whole lineage of the Israelite and the 12 tribes, like that wasn't even a thing that was like going on for many years. This was only within a few hundred years, a few centuries, that you had this separation of land by tribes. And then after a while, it was just like, people started calling themselves other things, as people do. That's just what happened.
Hmm.
And then it's like, and like you think about what an Israelite is, anyways, scientifically, there's no seed of the nation of Israel, like, like a haplogroup or something.
Well, yeah, because like the Israelites would take other foreigners into their ranks.
Yeah. Yeah. But, and then you have so much mixing that went on. You would have to get an Israelite, from, I guess it would have to be Jacob or something like, or one of the 12 sons. You would have to have their DNA, their bones, their
Their
whole,
body structure.
yeah. And then from there, you can get a sample of their genetic makeup and how
Right.
it's set up. The genetic markers, and then compare that to somebody today. That would be the
Hmm.
only way that you can even do that. They can't even do that much. The best that they can do is get a bunch of Canaanite bodies, and then there I think there were like 90 of them or 80 that were pulled out one time, and they did studies on that, and then they found a connection up to 40 or 50% or 50 to 60% genetic connection to the Jews that are there now. Like,
Oh, okay.
talk about that. The Canaanites are the ancient Israelites, pretty much. Like Canaanites, because like even before Canaanite, what was the genetic makeup of the people that made up the Canaanites? What were they called? They were called something else too. Abraham
Mhm.
been called an Israelite. Jacob couldn't have been called an Israelite either. His name was Israel and was changed to Israel, but you can't call them an Israelite. They were called something else. What were they?
S-
What was their genetic makeup? And
Excuse me.
yeah,
Excuse me. One question, Sam.
yeah.
Uh, where do the people of Thumar, where do they fit in that whole thing?
People from where?
The
Sumer.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Sumer, all of that, right? Like of the Chaldeans. That's Sumer, pretty much.
Yeah, them. They're
That
basically the Israelites too, right?
Well, I mean, according to to the way that well, according to the Hebrew Israelite, they'll say that Abraham was just around them, but his genetic makeup was whatever the lineage says in the book of Genesis.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was just Hebrews that like Edwin Kelly just said, it's just Hebrews, which is a language, so they'll say that they were Hebrew,
Hmm.
Abraham the Hebrew, like
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
of the Chaldeans. Okay, so where did his father come from, and his father, and all of that, and they claim to have like the scriptures. They claim to have the genealogy of all of that based on the scriptures, and it's like I don't know how accurate that is. We don't know how accurate any of that is at all. But
Right.
you know, um, it's difficult to even put them to the test when it comes to some of their claims. But yeah, Sumer is modern day Iraq, pretty much. I was gonna say Assyria, but Assyria, it was all in the same area, anyways, because Assyria is also where Iraq is now.
Yeah,
Assyria. Well,
because I'm sorry.
yeah. Go ahead.
Because I've saw something like the bones. They dug up the bones of the ancient Israeli person,
Mhm.
and they said that it had a lot in common with someone from Iraq.
Yeah, that's what it is. Because what started to happen is that what they call the cradle of civilizations popped up by the Tigris and Euphrates, where people
Mhm.
started becoming more structured, more developed. The lands were becoming more developed. People were becoming more civilized. Civilization started booming in that part of the world, and also by the Red Sea and all of that, by the Nile River.
Mhm.
Civilizations popping up over there, Egypt. So there seems to be a mixture of also Egyptians, not just
Mhm.
not just the Assyrians and people from the Middle East, but I think that there is also Egyptians. You can also add in the Indus River. There you go. That's a good one. I got to look into that one more. But yeah, that's somebody just said that in the chat. The Indus River, Mohenjo Daro and Harappa. Harappa. Okay, so I'll look into that later. Appreciate it. But that is definitely what I think the genetic makeup of a Hebrew Israelite was. I don't think I think that it was a combination of people in that whole Levant area, from Egypt to up in Assyria or Sumer. That whole area.
Mhm.
It's the Levantine, people. It's people from the Levant. Even the Philistines and the Syrians, they all shared similar genetic makeup. They make it
Right.
Philistines were these black, dark skinned people like the Hebrew Israelites, and it's like that's not necessarily true. They didn't look like
No, hell no, hell no.
it's just because Ham, Ham is just all black people came from Ham, and that's not true.
No, the black people in the Bible, when you connect those two, they were more like tradesmen and something like that. You know, travelers.
They weren't considered um uh like from Ham. Like
No,
that's not even true according to the Bible. Like Ham, Shem, and Japheth make up people in that whole area, pretty
that
much.
whole area, right?
Yeah, even going even further out, to like the Mediterranean and all of that.
Yeah, Ham.
Japheth
I'm
went over.
sorry.
I've heard, but it's like there's no real way to even prove that there was anybody ever named Shem, Ham, or Japheth. You
Right.
have to go with what the scripture says, and then with just how things developed. There were languages and words and lands named after certain people, and it's like they probably wasn't even a real person. It was just the story that proceeded to go on in time, and as time went on and people started to think that these stories were true, and then they'll name things after other things, like they say that the word Hebrew comes from Eber, one of the sons of one of the ancestors of Abraham, pretty much. And I forget. They say that that's during the time of the Tower of Babel and Nimrod and all of that, when the tongues were divided or whatever, nations were all divided. That's all just stories in the Bible. I, I always say, what do we have to corroborate all of these little individual stories? There's a lot of things that can be corroborated in the Bible that I've seen, and then there's things within those same stories that are corroborated that are not corroborated. So it's like it's complex. It's not just so easy, especially when we're going into genetic makeup. That's even harder to pinpoint. Like you can find a story in the Bible about something that happened, a war, and then you can find a story somewhere else in another account of like the Assyrians with Sennacherib and all of that. Then you could corroborate and you see, okay, here's a story in the Book of Kings, and here's a story in history here in the what they call the Assyrian reliefs, and
Mhm.
Sennacherib's prism. It shows you that this story actually probably happened. You have it in two different accounts of history, two different nations, and,
Mhm.
but then there's things missing, like the angels coming down and fighting the war for the Israelites, not in the account in Sennacherib's prism. It's not in there at all, and I would think,
Really?
yeah, I would think that would be something that he would want to put in there, because people would say, well, because he doesn't want to put it in there because he didn't want to scare nobody off or something. I don't know. I've heard a good response. It's just like, oh well, that's his account, and just like you don't want to believe the Bible, the biblical account of angels coming down and fighting, and it's like, why would I just assume that that's true? I would assume
No.
that not true, and the account that was written by Sennacherib in Assyria, that is more likely true, because they're talking about something extraordinary and supernatural that is not like me just saying I own a dog. It's like you're saying you own a dragon as a pet. It's not the
Right.
same. So I'm more likely to believe in the Syrian account that doesn't even mention doesn't mention uh, angels coming down and killing exactly 300,000 men. Like it tells you it was like exactly a nice round number. Like how do you even know that, man? Like it's such bullshit to me. It just doesn't seem real. And
You also have to keep in mind,
mhm,
like some of those groups that don't even exist in terms of DNA now.
right, that's
You
true.
know,
But also, like,
they've been they've been extinct for
but also
thousands of years.
Syrians, they won all of that. They were kicking the Hebrews' butts, man. They were like literally taking over the land of Israel until they got to Judea. And I forget
Mhm.
the king at the time in Judah, the king of Judah at the time, pretty much threw out the damn red flag or the white flag and surrendered. And the history tells you, even in the Bible, it tells you that he had to pay Sennacherib tribute, and they paid the Assyrians tribute and all of that. So it's like, how does that all fit in with angels fighting and for, it doesn't make sense. It's like the Assyrians were overpowering them. How does a fight with some angels all of a sudden pop up? And it's like, why would that even happen if God wasn't trying to have them win, or the war or whatever, like when they lost the battle but they won the battle but they lost the war or something. Like, what was the purpose of bringing down some angels to win a little measly battle that meant nothing, when it's not even written in Sennacherib's account of the whole thing? And they still went out and had the tribe of Judah, or the Judeans, or whatever you want to call them, the Jews, pay all this tribute for years after that. For years, they had to give up so much stuff. And then there's an account of all of that, and you can see the depictions of Jews coming to Assyria, and King Jehud, Jehud. There's a depiction of him bowing down before Sennacherib. Literally, he would come to Assyria, bow down and bring all types of stuff for him. This is supposed to be the mighty king of Judah, King Jehud, and they draw him. They depict him with a hook nose. You can
They
see it.
all have hook noses.
You can
Like
see.
all the families in the Bible, all the families in the Bible have hook noses. Every last one of them.
It was a common thing that was known about the Jews, that people around the area, they would depict them as that, and they'll exaggerate it, kind of like how they did with African Americans with the
The
big.
Hamites had, but the Hamites had hook noses.
I would imagine that they did, if they were all related anyways.
Yeah,
You can look at people like Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks, who calls himself Turkish, like, right. He's
like Chink, like Chink himself. He could be a Hamite.
right. Hey, he's probably a Hamite that
Yeah,
came from one of those other tribes or whatever.
right.
You see his nose has got that's
Hook.
hook to it. That's similar.
When the Bible talks about the table of nations, that's
Right,
speaking about the Arabs.
right,
All
right.
those folks are Arabian folks.
That's pretty much what it is. I mean, they don't really go into the history of Africans and stuff. They don't know
There wasn't no black folks over there.
what's going on. But
Wasn't no black folks over there, man.
I'm gonna put this back on.
Dangerous traffic.
They were saying that the IUIC, because these are one of the most delusional groups out there, is the IUIC. They were saying
Mm-hmm.
cats were causing like traffic issues, because there's so many people out there.
We don't need to tell us how to live our lives.
The church also claiming the scene led to dangerous traffic issues.
You see how they're
In
doing
court,
their
the IUIC
shame,
are
shame.
left public property.
As the Christians are driving out of the church, they'll cross in front of them, and then these cats will be like, shame, shame, shame.
Mm-hmm.
Scripture, which includes this.
What they're misinterpreting for hatred is passion. We see ills and we're trying to fix it.
One of those ills, the group says, is tithing.
Stop taking their money, bro. It was never monetary. What happened to Christianity over the years have morphed that into.
He's also a very controversial figure.
Who's that? Tonight?
Yeah.
Well, he was arrested for stealing,
Okay. Yeah. I
he was
thought so.
for petty theft. It's not a big charge, but what's
But
going on.
someone like him, that's the big charge.
Exactly. Someone like him, that should be a very big charge. That's like, what are you doing? And then also, how does that reflect on what kind of condition these people are in? What is he, a kleptomaniac or something? Or is he doing it because he's broke? Aren't
Mm-hmm.
you supposed to be one of the kings, one of the men of God or whatever, and you can't succeed at all, you can't do anything? Nathaniel got money.
Right.
monetary. What happened, Christianity over the years have morphed that into financial gain. You cannot take a sheep or a goat or something to pay a bill. You need money.
You need money. You can't take a goat. It was never monetary. He's saying you can't take a goat or a sheep to pay a bill, man. You see what he's saying? There are scriptures that says if you can't make the voyage with all these sheep and all of that, turn it into money. It tells you that literally in the scripture. I forget what scripture that is.
Mm-hmm.
Any situations where if you can't pay your tithing of sheep because you get an increase with a bunch of different things. You can have an increase in goat, in sheep, in corn, in wine, in money, in oil, you name it. You can get an increase in all of that, and that's still considered an increase. And it's not so much a monetary increase; it could just be an increase dealing with your sheep, your cattle. So if you get 10 sheep, that's an increase that you just got. Now you got to pay 10% of that. You got to give one of them sheeps up to the church, to the priests. That's how it worked back then.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you do that when it's you get 13 sheep? You got to do a tenth of it. Now you got to cut one of them sheeps in half or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's literally how they would probably do it. They would. I mean, I don't know. They would probably have to do something like that. But at the same time, it's like think about how difficult that is, and especially nowadays. That's what he's saying as a Baptist, as a Christian or whatever. He's saying you can't pay tithing any other way. The
Mm-hmm.
thing, it's not monetary. But then how else can you do it today? Okay, it's not money, but what do you do today then? Because now you
Mm-hmm.
get paid with sheep at your job. You don't get an increase of anything like that besides your financial increase, your money. Now, but think about that though. Wasn't it like that back then? They would have to pay an increase in different things. That's why Tobit paid 3/10 of he paid a tenth of this and a tenth of that and a tenth of this other thing because he had three different increases that he had to pay. That's still overall 10% of your entire income, of your entire.
Or
Mhm.
or sometimes they would sell their children as slaves for like. But when I say slaves, I don't mean like the Bedlam slavery. I'm talking about in terms of doing work in the house
Like a
for a
hand
person.
something.
Basically taking care of cleaning and stuff.
Right, right,
And because in the Bible, slavery was everywhere. I mean, they used so much slavery. Like the Bible doesn't condemn slavery at all.
right.
You
So
know,
there's
the Bi- like
thing
the
then
I'm sorry.
what Edwin Kelly's saying, and this is the answer pretty much. It's there's no more Levitical priesthood, so therefore there's no more tithing. That's true, but these people they
True.
do some type of monetary payment. You still have to make some type of payment. I forget how IUIC does it. Uh,
Hmm.
ICGJC still does the tithing. I don't know what other group does the tithing, but yeah, these
Hmm.
Christian groups do that. They sometimes they'll do the tithing, or I don't know if they do it in any different way, but yeah, if there's no more Levitical priesthood, there's no more tithing, right? Pretty much the laws all the way with, but there are other laws that remain, right? So yeah, that's a good way to break it down. Like there's no more Levitical priesthood. Not only the Levites could be the priests anymore because Jesus Christ is from the tribe of Judah and he changed that whole entire thing. He's made unto us kings and priests. It says in Revelation. The tithing is done, but then you still have to keep the Sabbath day, right? I guess you would still have to do that, or is that part of the Levitical priesthood? Because that's one of the 10 Commandments. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. And these cats are not doing that in the Sunday mass that they're having, but yet they're
Hmm.
lives. So that's so backwards right there when you really look at that. So like IUIC has their arguments, and then the Baptist Church they have their arguments. I mean they're on their property. That looks like their property there. So it's like they have a right to trespass anybody from their private property. That's actually very legal. So I don't know how the judge ended up siding with them. Get to that real quick. Do you had anything else on that?
No, no, no.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna just get to that. This is the Ebenezer Baptist Church.
Claiming pastors like Derek Scobie use tithing for financial gain, pointing out Scobie and his wife drive nice cars.
It's the fruit of an undergraduate degree from the University of Oklahoma and for working with a top corporation.
Thursday, the judge ruling the IUIC stayed on public property.
So you see this cat right here?
Oklahoma and for working with a top corporation.
So this cat right here, you know who that is right there? He look familiar. Can you see that? Let me put it closer.
It looks like Abiel.
Yeah, there you go. That's Abiel.
Mm-hmm.
Who used to be in Orlando with Kanai. And I don't know how they ended up here in, what is this? Where did it say was that? In Jackson, Mississippi. Okay, because I know he's in Oklahoma City, which is not, I mean, it's not really that close to Jackson, Mississippi. I don't think so. He's been in Oklahoma City, Abiel, for a minute. I don't know where Kanai is right now, but you can see a lot of the people in the they're all, there's a lot of IUIC people. Why is he standing up there? It is strange to me. Does he have some type of degree? And you can see, I don't know if they hired a lawyer. Or one of these people are their lawyers or whatever. But I would have loved to have been there as a fly on the wall just to hear what exactly was going on. Yeah,
Thursday, the judge ruling the IUIC stayed on public property and didn't harass anyone, but they must not block traffic. Now, the IUIC says the movement is full steam ahead.
If anything, we're going to wrap it up.
This is not the end of this. It will be resolved.
In court, the IUIC argued it was hypocritical for Pastor Scobie to take legal action because he's also facing a legal battle after being arrested while protesting the night before Julius Jones's set execution.
That's a whole nother story right there with Julius Jones.
Who is Julius Jones?
Oh, this is Oklahoma. Okay, so this is Oklahoma. So Kanai, this is Oklahoma. Why did I say Jackson, Mississippi? Julius Jones is a dude that was set to be executed in Oklahoma. He was on death row, right? I'll get to, let me see. Oklahoma. Yeah, so this is Oklahoma. I don't know why I said Jackson, Mississippi. It's Oklahoma City. All right, so Julius Jones is the man that's still alive who was convicted for the murder of a man. They were pretty much trying to rob this. It was a white guy. They were pretty much trying to rob this guy for his vehicle, which this guy was known to do that. He was like Julius Jones and his friend. They were doing that already. They were robbing people for their cars and taking it to this impound or to this spot, and they would get they wouldn't even get that much money, man. They would get like maybe $1,000 if they're lucky. But it was a pretty much a robbery gone wrong. Julius Jones and one of his friends stuck this guy up at gunpoint, and this white guy pretty much was going to get out the car, and as he was trying to get out the car, they shot and killed him anyways in front of his own daughter and the man's sister. So the
Sorry to hear that.
Witnesses was only the man's sister, the man that's dead, which he's dead, so he can't testify, and the daughter who doesn't even remember, who she's still fighting to keep this guy on death row, but they took him off death row because Oklahoma City got so woke that they started coming up with all these little excuses for why they think that the guy was falsely accused, when it was like, no, there was so much evidence. And then Kim Kardashian started coming out protesting for Julius Jones, a murderer, a guy who killed a man for his car and in front of his daughter. His girlfriend at the time exposed him for not being with her, because that was his alibi, that he was with her, and she came out and said, I think she had to admit it, because she was going to be tried for perjury or something if she would have lied. She had to admit, because there was like a receipt or something that was found where she was actually somewhere else or something like that. So it didn't match the story. And then Julius Jones lied and said he came out later on and said, "No, I was with my family," and his family started lying for him, saying he was at the house the whole time.
Damn.
Then his friend turned states. His friend turned snitch, or whatever, and ratted on him and said he was the one that pulled the trigger. I never pulled the trigger. That wasn't the plan. We were just trying to rob him. And so they have his friend who was an accomplice because there was another guy there. It wasn't just Julius Jones. That's the witness. Then you have the mother or the sister of the guy that died as a witness who ID'd Julius Jones as the shooter. Um, the gun that was shot was found in Julius Jones' house. The do-rag that he was wearing, or the stocking cap that he was wearing, was also found next to the gun in his room. And when he gets arrested and everything, this was like in 1999, man. Now he gets put on death row. It was it was like mostly white jury. They complain about that. It was an all white jury. He didn't get a fair trial. It's like, what? All white jury means racism immediately. Every time you hear jury, they want you to assume that that's bad somehow. It's like most of this country's white anyways. Like, what is that? That's how it is in certain towns that you go to. When they start pulling people for jurors, the majority of the town is going to be white in a lot of cases, and that's what was going on in that town. It's like 95% white. It's like literally like 90% white. And Julius Jones got, he's the one that crossed over into that county and put himself in that situation and did a robbery in that county where the majority there were actually white. And it's like that's just how it happens sometimes.
I
There's
don't see why. See, I don't know why he shot the man. Why did he shoot him?
have to do that. He could have just robbed him. The guy was getting out of the car. And
Like what you have to do, you have to like when you're committing a crime,
Mhm.
you have to make sure you get like a bare minimum, at least 2 years max. You see what I'm saying? You don't want to go to jail for the rest of your life.
You have to, like, if you're gonna do that much, yeah, like you gotta weigh out the risks, the risk to reward ratio is what it is called.
If you're a burglar or a robber, be a burglar or a robber. Don't be a murderer.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Murder is for combat.
what's the reward that you're getting? It was only like that car was only worth maybe $3,000 tops, which I mean the car was worth $3,000. That's not what he got. When you go to these impound lots or whatever, these junk yards, and you try to bring a car to sell, yo,
That's like
lucky
$1,000.
if you get $500 sometimes.
Right. Exactly.
But maybe $1,000. They saying that he got. I don't remember, but I think the guy that I think they even collaborated. The cops even got with the guy that he sold the car to, and they had like more evidence now because now they have the car. They found the car because he got away with it for a little while, but the cops ended up finding the car. There was also an eyewitness that ID'd him and put him at a location close to the house of that guy that they killed because he was acting funny in like a parking lot of a fast food spot and they were looking crazy. They were like pretty much scoping out the scene, getting to see who they're gonna rob. And that person ID'd them too. There was so much evidence that put this guy as the culprit. And
That's
then
sad. I'm sorry.
Viola Davis comes out with a documentary about this, saying that this was a railroad of justice, that this was all wrong. Viola Davis is called how I forgot what it was called. It's Julius Jones. You can look it up. Yo, they didn't even interview the victim's family. They made the murderer the victim, and it's like, yo, the victim is the guy that got shot, his daughter, his sister that was there, who's a witness, an eyewitness to this. They didn't even interview Viola Davis. Never even interviewed her, the eyewitness,
Hmm.
which is crazy. They interviewed everybody else. They interviewed Julius Jones's mother, and
Hmm.
they're trying to stick up for him and say that yeah, we were playing Monopoly that night or something. We were playing a board game that night.
No,
Well,
that's
like
crazy.
him the whole night though. Like, were you with him the whole night? Oh no, he went upstairs to his room. How do you know that he didn't? They didn't ask no hard questions and nothing. How do you know that?
Hmm.
leave the room after you went to sleep. They didn't ask none of them questions, man. It was just like these softball questions, and they just made the guy seem like a victim, and that riled up people like that pastor. That's what they're saying. That Christian pastor, that the IUIC, because now I don't like that cat either. I don't like the IUIC, but that cat sounds like an idiot too. Why are you out there protesting for Julius Jones? And then not only that, they're protesting against, because some of them will say, no, I don't believe he was innocent. But it's we don't want to kill nobody. We don't want the state to do no justice where they have to kill somebody and give them the death penalty. So some of them were protesting the death penalty. Some of them were protesting the fact that they believe that that he's innocent, which is insane. Because if you're going to protest the death penalty, I get it. All right, that's a whole nother story. But these people were like, the majority of people were saying that no, he's innocent. He needs another
See,
trial, and they denied his fair trial. This cat Julius Jones got mad. What is it called? Defensive. When they gave, I forget what it's called. They gave him another a pre. I forget what they call it. It's not a trial, but like before you get a trial, you get a chance to speak your case. And he got all mad. He was getting defensive during that. After 15 years of him being in jail, it seems like he got even worse. And then he put his foot in his mouth because they had asked him a question, and he lied. And then I think he even tried to take it back. And then that's why he started getting mad, because they caught him in the lie during the pre-trial or whatever. And they denied the motion. They said, no, you're not getting another trial. And then the governor at the last preliminary, there you go, preliminary hearing. Then at the last second, I'm telling you, the 11th hour, here comes the governor of Oklahoma, calls in and says, no, we're gonna repeal or something, the like he's still going to be in jail for the rest of his life, but they just took him off death row. They're not going to kill him because there was so much heat coming from Kim Kardashian, Viola Davis. And it's crazy. It's like, yo, why are these people coming out here, these liberals that get all crazy, that want to save they want to be Captain Save a Murderer, save a black, let's save a black. And and it's like, yo, you're victimizing a murderer, and the true victims here are just getting ignored. And the daughter is like, she's got to deal with seeing this guy like still alive, like her father's dead, and this guy is just chilling somewhere in jail. Damn, probably banging some other dude and stuff. I don't know. Like, that's who Julius Jones is. That pastor, they're saying that he violated something by protesting for that Julius Jones guy or whatever. So they're trying to do that's a good strategy. It always works. So yeah, I don't know why you're dealing with us and taking us to court. You got your own issues going on with this Julius Jones case, is what they said. And pretty slick. Them guys are slick as hell. But that's what Julius Jones is, man. Because I wanted to talk about it. I'm surprised I forgot. I remember that came up at the end there, and the first time I saw that, I was like, wow, that's
yeah,
crazy.
I just don't understand, why would you kill somebody if you're there to steal cars? Like, the whole point about stealing is not being seen either.
And Julius Jones, um, they were trying to say that he was a good student and all of that because he went to college. He actually went to college, right? And he knows Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin grew up with Julius Jones. Uh,
Okay.
so they played basketball together. And I forget who else. There was a lot of noise being made for Julius Jones, Blake Griffin. I believe even Steph Curry spoke about it. Kim Kardashian, Viola Davis, like, yo, it was getting a lot of attention. And I was like, yo, what the hell is going on right now? This guy is clear, like the evidence is crazy. And it's like you can't even find a good reporting of all the evidence, because there's so much other reports that come out about basically the possible errors, or the possible what they call, I guess, things that are not so definitive, evidence that's like faulty evidence or shaky evidence. Because there was some evidence that, yeah, it's not so clear cut, but it's when you add up everything together, you know. But yeah, I mean, they didn't really. I wouldn't say they freed him, Edwin, Edwin Kelly, but he said the system freed of Barabbas. I wouldn't say they freed him because they just didn't kill him, and it's like, and then the pastor, it's like, don't you believe in the Bible? The pastor should believe in corporate justice, corporate judgments, and all that, corporate punishment, death penalty. God has it was okay. He'd been okay the death penalty, right? They spared his life, yeah. So I mean, I guess the New Testament, um, it changed a lot of the laws. So I guess he can probably make an argument for why he doesn't believe in the death penalty. But I would think if you're a person that believes in the Bible, you believe in the death penalty. So why is that pastor even fighting against? I don't know. That whole story is crazy. The fact that cat is fighting for Julius Jones, I'm sure IUIC is probably fighting for Julius Jones too. I
A
mean,
lot of folks don't read the Bible.
yeah, that's true. Them Christians, they don't be reading the Bible like that.
Mm-mm.
But I know that from firsthand experience when I used to go out there and talk to these cats. You know,
Mm-hmm.
being out there, pretty much, freaking trying to teach these cats. There was a lot of them like that. They wouldn't even know how to respond to some of the things I was saying. They were like completely, yeah, they wouldn't know how to respond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Like the book of Job, man. That's like that's like the number one to me.
What
I'm
about
sorry, sir.
what about the Book of Job?
Oh yeah, this the story of Job where God was having a bet with an angel in heaven
Oh, right.
about Job.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The Book of Job. I think they've said it's the oldest book in the Bible. It was like the first book written, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, even before the first five books. I've heard that somewhere, like from like official sources. Like real history. Scholars, historic scholars, pretty much.
Yeah, that's a classic, man.
Yeah, Job is. You can tell it's old. You can tell it's different. You can just feel it when you read it and everything that's going on in it. It's just
Yeah.
written different than the Book of Ezra
Yeah,
and
because the book of Job has more pagan influences in it.
mm,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? God is not like the typical God character in the Bible.
yeah, right.
He's
Uh,
more of an ancient deity in this Bible, and I mean
yeah,
during this story.
because it says like that Satan was up there in heaven and all of that. So it says Job lived at the time before Israel's slavery, which is the Egyptian.
True,
Pretty much.
true.
I could see that. I could see that because it doesn't call Job from a certain tribe. I forget where it says that he was from, but I think
Okay.
land of Idumea or something like that, or maybe one of his three friends was from that land. I forget, but I know it doesn't tell you what tribe. Because I was going back and forth with one dude who was called himself a Judite, and that dude was pretty much telling me that Job was an Israelite, Orients, right? He looked like I don't know, but they definitely wasn't. Um, I don't believe that he was an Israelite. That like I don't believe they're gonna assume that as an Israelite because they believe that everybody that wrote a book in the Bible was an Israelite. Like
Right.
like every prophet was an Israelite, and it's like I don't even think the Book of Job was written by an Israel. It doesn't seem that it was written by any of these Israelites, and it seems like it was a time before any of that, anyways, too. Because the nation of Israel became a nation according to the Bible in the land of Egypt, and then there came there was a 70 that first came, and then it grew to a whole nation in Egypt. It says, and then am I frozen?
I think you are.
Damn, man.
I don't see you on here.
Yeah, hold on one second. Give me a second here.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't see you.
I don't know why it's So you don't see me at all?
I don't see you at all. I just see my thing here.
Damn. Let me see something.
Do the audience see you?
Yeah, I wonder if the audience can see me because I can see like a frozen image of myself, but I think I'm gonna just end it on that because now my whole live is jacked up. I just got a phone call, that's why.
Oh, how about you stop this one and start it over again?
The rent-a-car industry.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I mean, I don't know if I want to do that right now since it's getting late.
I understand. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but yeah, all right. Well, I'll holler at you. They said we
All right.
just see the logo, Lady V. All right. Well, yeah, we pretty good conversation. I wanted to get a Hebrew Israelite on here so I could debate. If any Hebrew
Mhm.
Israelites that are out there listening that wants to like get into the debate, you know, the a debate based on like this color scriptures, maybe like you know, Revelation chapter 1 verse 13 to 15, Daniel chapter 5 verse 6, so we could do one breakdown at a time.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to go find some of these cats and talk to them like Deacon Hakah or whoever goes live and it allows people to come on. I'm gonna try to get on and do something like that soon. Hopefully, I could you know post it up on my joint. But yeah, I appreciate you, Jason Creed.
Well,
I'll
thank
talk
you,
to
sir.
you soon. I haven't spoken to you in a minute, but thanks for coming through and all that.
Thank you.
All right, guys. San Miguel TV, October 15th, 2023, right? Do I got my dates wrong? 14, 15. Well, it's probably no, it's the 15th. I'll come back on the 19th or actually on the 20th at 9 p.m. Friday 9 p.m. That's this Friday 9 p.m. October 20th. I'm supposed to be doing a live with two former ICGJC members from the city of Miami. And it's going to be a good one. So y'all could come through. I'm going to have a better setup this time around. I won't have the phone because it always gets jacked up on the phone, but we'll make it work, y'all. Appreciate y'all coming through. Edwin Kelly, appreciate you. Imam, thanks for coming through. Uptown. And of course, Jason Creed. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.